Hey, it's Gerald from Lakers Fast Break. Anchor is the easiest way to make your next podcast. It's absolutely free, and their creation tools will allow you to record and edit your show right from your phone or your home computer. Anchor will then distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on great podcast outlets like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Radio Public, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast all in one place. So download the free Anchor app today or go to anchor.fm to get started on your next podcast. All right, and we're back for another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right back at you here from Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, Inside Sports Fantasy Football, and Game Source. We truly appreciate everyone out there listening to all of our great shows. And if you can, give us that 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, or if you can like, follow, share, subscribe, do whatever you can to support us right here at the Lakers Fast Break. And also as well, NBA Draft Junkies, the Run the Floor podcast, and everything that they do at the Lakerholics.com site. It is truly appreciated. We wanted to go ahead and just give you an update on what's going on. I think it is day 11 of the NBA playoffs, if I'm not mistaken. I counted it out earlier. We had the break that was there because of what was going on with the protests, but I believe it is NBA playoffs day 11. And kind of surprising on a couple of notes, but Boston, Denver, and also the Clippers were victorious today. And here to talk about all three games with me real quick is my good friend. You got to check out what he's doing today at NBA Draft Junkies.com or his NBA Draft Junkies YouTube page or his two awesome podcasts, which you got to go ahead and give 5 stars to. That is NBA Draft Junkies and Run the Floor. It is my good friend, Mr. Rafael Barlowe. And Rafael, seemed like a nice casual Sunday for NBA playoffs.
Yeah, it was weird that we had 2 game 6s and a game 1 of the second round going on at the same time. Yeah. I know it's happened before, but it's just weird to see that like one series could be in game 2 of the second round while game 7 of the first round could be going on. But it was good basketball. I think the Utah and Denver series has been exciting every game except one.
Yeah.
I believe.
There was one blowout by Utah, I think.
Yep. And I thought that series was over. Like, I predicted Denver in 7, but when Utah went up, I thought that, oh, yeah, they're going to beat them in 5. And then I thought they'd beat them in 6. But now we got a game 7. And, I mean, Utah was up 3-1.
Yeah.
If they don't want to be on that side of history of blowing a 3-1 lead.
Exactly. They can talk to Golden State on that one. But I will say this. When it comes to what we're seeing with that series, and we'll start off with that game because Denver did come out victorious on that game, 119-107. I'm telling you, my friend, what's going on with Jamal Murray? Jamal Murray, again, we talked about this the other day. Why doesn't he seem to get enough love out there? He's a 19, almost 20-point a game scorer during the regular season, but this is the second postseason in a row where he seems to have kicked it up a notch. Like you said before, he isn't having to need to go ahead and worry about the playmaking per se on an every play basis. He just needs to go out there and do his thing. I just don't know why he just doesn't do it more often during the regular season.
Well, I mean, I guess you'd rather him do it in the playoffs than the regular season, where stars are made. And he's definitely shown that he's a star in this league.
I get it, yeah.
But I do agree with the fact that he's not as talked about. Like, even this series, Donovan Mitchell, his performances were more discussed Murray was kind of like the afterthought in a sense. And even with like Luka, I mean, Luka's got a lot of attention, rightfully so, but I definitely do feel that Jamal Murray hasn't received the same amount of attention.
Because this is his second game in this series at over 50 points or over. Is that correct?
Yeah. And like I just heard the press conference, and Mike Malone said that last year he did the same thing in the first round when they upset San Antonio. They don't make it, or it was the first round, I believe. They don't make it to the second round without him having another big time performance. And this is the second playoffs in a row that he's shown to be a big time player when the game is important in crunch time and in must win situations. So yeah, I mean he's definitely underrated.
Yes, I agree, and so does Content Creators 805. Welcome back, my friend. As what you're saying, this is an all-time classic duel between Murray and Mitchell, and you can't wait till Game 7. You know what? I don't think anyone out there that's an NBA fan would disagree with you on that, because including Rafael and I, because we're excited for Game 7. And that, I actually want to go ahead and break it down to you, my friend, because Mitchell has two as well. Yes, both Donovan Mitchell and also as well Jamal Murray have two 50-point games in this series. And it is the only time in NBA history this has happened. Thank you for the shout out on that, Content Creators 805. Got to give you the props on that. But I want to ask you this, my friend. It's come down to a Game 7, like you called it, and you're still sticking with Denver. But this is going to be one for the ages, I think. This is really going to come down to it. It could be another one of those slobber knockers, as Jim Ross would say, with the 5-6 overtime, just incredible game that was with Portland and who was it? Oh gosh, and Portland and Denver.
Denver, yeah.
So I want to ask you this, my friend. It just, to me, I think it's a wash between Donovan and also Jamal. To me, it's all about the supporting cast. Does Utah have enough to outpace Jokic and the rest of the Denver Nuggets?
I don't know, man. This series is so unpredictable. I mean, it looked like, well, we all thought that Denver was going to win because we just felt like Utah was going to be without a couple starters. I thought Conley would miss more time.
Yeah.
But then also Denver was missing a couple rotation guys. And when it was 3-1, I just thought the series was over. Yeah. And I mean, this Game 7, it's a Game 7 where there's no advantages. Usually in a Game 7, you would guess the home team would have an advantage, but there's no home team. I don't think the piped up fake crowd noise makes a difference. So this is going to be a Game 7 that we've never seen before.
Absolutely. And Content Creators 805 is matching in. He's thinking that Denver would be a better matchup for the Clippers. I thought that as well initially, and I agreed with you on that. But the only thing is that who guards Kawhi? Because that's where I see the weakness for Denver is their matchup as far as the wings are concerned. I mean, do you think, Rafael and also Content Creators 805, do you guys think that Jeremy Grant and Michael Porter Jr., well, Michael Porter Jr. is great offensively, but terrible defensively. But do you actually think that they can stand up against, the Paul George and of course Kawhi? It's because they're lacking on the wings, I think, as far as a real dominant player out there.
Yeah, I think if Denver wins, they have a shot because Dallas was competitive with Luka and only Luka and a whole defense that was geared to stop him. And I thought that, in my opinion, I felt like when Luka and Porzingis were on the court together, they were better than the Clippers. They just didn't get, I don't even know if they got 2.5 games of them together. Maybe just 1.5, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Something like that, yeah. Actually, because remember, Porzingis got hurt in that first game. He was already hurt, I think, when he got himself kicked out. So,
so I think that, Denver's offense is going to be tough. I mean, I think the Clippers off defense have kind of been, I guess it's too early to say that the Clippers defense has been overrated. Either that or just Luka is, is the piece, that the one person that they can't stop. But yeah, I would say that a healthy Murray and a healthy Jokic. And then I think that Denver is probably more likely to have a third person chip in scoring that the Mavs didn't have. And so, yeah, it could be an upset. I mean, I wouldn't be shocked. I do think Denver would be a better matchup for the Clippers than the Jazz. The Jazz just don't seem to have enough offense outside of Donovan Mitchell. But then again, I felt like the same way about the Mavs, and I think that series could have easily went in the Mavs' favor if they had a couple different bouncers go their way. Some better health.
Gary Harris came back to the lineup today, played some limited minutes. Do you think that was a boost for Denver?
I don't know. I mean, maybe if you looked at the box score and saw Donovan was held to 25 on inefficient shooting, but he still had 44, so I don't think it made too much of a difference. I just think Denver's been hot. I mean, it's their second game in a row, and they've had to rely on Murray to carry them, and that's what he's doing. And I think Game 7 boils down to who has the better performance, Murray or Mitchell.
And if it does come down to a matchup between the Clippers and Denver, while I was talking about the lack of wing strength when it comes to Denver, it works on the opposite end where Paul George would have to consistently guard Murray as far as from a defense standpoint, because if they throw Lou Williams out there on Jamal Murray, oh my gosh, or Reggie Jackson, that would be a nightmare for the Clippers. Beverly would have to come back. Beverly would have to come back.
Yeah, and I think Beverly would be good for that series because he can harass Murray, and then they can easily switch off on them. But if they can get... I mean, I think they may be able to just outscore the Clippers. I do think that could be a possibility Kawhi is playing the best basketball I've ever seen him play. So I don't think that you can slow him down. He's just too physical, too strong. It seems like he's making every shot. I think Grant will make him work, and I think Grant will probably do a better job defending him than what the Mavs had, because the Mavs had to use Kleber to defend him, because anytime Kawhi had a guard or wing on him, he just overpowered them. So that's why you saw Kleber on him a lot. And I think he did the best job as he could, which Kawhi was shooting jumpers over Kleber instead of just bullying his way to a sweet spot. But yeah, I think Denver would just have to outscore them. I know it sounds cliche and sounds like a Magic Johnson take where, the team that scores the most points wins. But I think Denver would just have to say, hey, Kawhi's going to get his points. Let's hope Paul George is still, inconsistent. But if we can just outscore them and make them play at our pace, then we have a chance.
I'll tell you what, my friend, Denver and Utah, it's going to be an epic Game 7. Content Creators 805, and you have hit it right on the head as far as, seeing that in the not too distant future in 2 days. I'm looking forward to it. Just as an NBA fan, just as somebody who wants to see an epic battle between, almost like dueling banjos. If you can do that, I can do this better. And to see the faces on Jamal Murray after he makes one of his crazy shots, he makes those smirks, he makes those little faces that even when it's a close game, he's still making those, it's like almost like he's showing off a little bit, not on the verge of taunting or whatnot, but it seems very confident in his game right now, because when he's hot like that, the Denver Nuggets are really hard to stop.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I think Jokic will be able to pull some of the Clippers' bigs out of the paint if he's knocking down open shots. I think that would be a good matchup, but I guess I can't look too far ahead because they still have to get past Utah.
Absolutely, and we'll find that out for sure on Tuesday, and we'll be back here obviously then to go ahead and cover the game for you and then preview the next round against the Clippers, who did win today, 111-97. They just cruised in the second half. All props to Luka Doncic, 38 points today, 9 rebounds, 9 assists, but didn't get much help otherwise, and which was really disappointing to see because, like you said, had they had their full team there against the Clippers, I think it would have been a lot closer. There's a really good chance that they could have gone up 3-1 in that series.
Yeah, even today, I felt like they had a chance when they cut it to 6, and then Clippers just hit some big shots. So I think Luka definitely catapulted his status. I mean, everybody thought he was good. Everyone thought that he was going to be, one of the best players in the league in the near future. But after this series, he's proven to be arguably top 5 right now. Yeah. I mean, what he did to that Clippers defense, which, they have 2 of the best wing defenders, and he was able to put up monster numbers on efficient shooting. And I think he only had one game where his numbers were somewhat average. But other than that, he had a couple 40-point games. I think he ended up averaging like 31 a game, but you can say that number was brought down because of the 22-point game that he had. And other than he was efficient. I mean, he got to the basket. He just showed his full toolbox of skills. And so the Mavs have a bright future.
That they do.
Really bright future, especially if they can, get Porzingis healthy. And then I believe they'll have the room for one max contract before Luka's due for his big extension. So, yeah, the future's looking bright for Dallas.
Future is. I still think they need one more individual to go ahead and play off of Luka. Somebody that's going to help just take a little bit of the cushion off of him, because he's done such a well of a job. He is one of the top 5 players as of this moment playing right now. I mean, at least I'm thinking so. Are you?
Yeah, I mean, there were some people that doubted, especially his regular season numbers against the Clippers weren't that great compared to other teams, but he figured out their defense in the playoffs. And I read an article. It's by a good friend of mine, Nikias Duncan. He writes for basketballnews.com, the news site that just launched. And he wrote an article that just basically broke down how the Clippers are trying to defend Luka and how he's a step ahead and how he has an answer for everything they're throwing at him. And for someone that young to just be able to solve the Clippers defense, and I mean the great defenders that they have, and Doc Rivers. I mean, we're watching a basketball prodigy in real time. It's something I mentioned on the podcast before, but unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. He didn't have enough help, and so Clippers advance.
Clippers advance indeed.
This is Rafael from NBA Draft Junkies.com, and you are listening to the Lakers Fast Break.
Check out what's been going on with the Pop Culture Cosmos Show and the PCC Multiverse.
That is by far my favorite, because it's also character-driven and the stakes are high and there's much more of a mystery and intrigue to it.
A game like Wolfenstein, which people are saying are one of the most socially important video games of the past 10 years.
Catch our shows on radio worldwide 7 days a week, or at any time on Podbean, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or on over 30 more podcast outlets. Content Creators 805 also said that Zubats looked good today. Yeah, Ivica Zubats, I really liked him. He was a second-round pick for the Lakers. He developed under the Lakers system, and the Lakers traded him, like you said, a Content Creators.
Mike Muscala, right?
That is correct. As I said to CC805, don't get me started with that trade for Mike Muscala. That is... that's one that you got to go ahead and just shake your head at. Just incredible. You see right now, he's one of the best offensive rebounders in the NBA as far as statistically. He does a pretty good job clogging up the middle. Does everything you need as far as from a standpoint of the old traditional big man style of playing. And he gives them those solid minutes. And right now, the Lakers could have used him, but unfortunately, they gave him up. But again, this is something that they will have to focus on if those two advance to the Western Conference Finals, about seeing if they could go ahead and get him out of the game with some foul trouble early on, because if that's the case, you're able to go ahead and have a better chance on the boards and things of that nature. But again, let's not go in too far into that. He's a lot better than JaVale and younger. I will probably give you that. He's better than JaVale at this point in time, and he is quite a bit younger, so I'll give you that, CC805. But yeah, he did a good job today for the Clippers as they advance. They're going to get a couple days off, extra days off, because it's going to a Game 7 against their opponent, Denver or Utah. So we'll see what happens there. don't want to get too much in advance in saying Denver Clippers yet because, again, it could be an epic Game 7. I'm hoping it is. Rafael is hoping it is. Everybody out there that's listening and watching, I think, is also very in tune to seeing what's happening with that Game 7 because it looks like it's going to be a very epic Game 7.
Yeah, it's I mean, the NBA and Adam Silver, like we mentioned before on a previous podcast, they have to be happy with the results of this bubble league. I mean, the games have been competitive. We've had some intensity. We've had some new rivalries. You got guys that don't like each other going against each other, and the favorites have won. So I think that the NBA has to be pleased with everything that's going on in the bubble.
Well, the last thing we want to cover before we head on out, my friend, is the Boston Celtics and Toronto Game 1, like you were saying, that they will be in Game 2 while Utah and Denver still in Game 7. But wanted to ask you this. Boston came away with a very impressive, and it just burns my tongue almost to say, very impressive win for the Boston Celtics. But I got to give them their props. They won 112-94 today. And it wasn't so much any single player on the Boston Celtics did a great job. They played above their level. They played outstanding. They played a great team ball today. I mean, I'm looking at 6 players in double figures. But what impressed me most, my friend, was the defense. They really locked down the Raptors. I mean, they held them as far as their shooting is concerned, really to an extent where they just could not make a shot. 25% from the three-point area. 36%, almost 37% from field goals overall. 94 points in a playoff game like this where the scores are higher, almost as high as at any point in time. I think there was like a 1983, 1984, those playoffs right now have a higher scoring average. But outside of that, when you're scoring at a premium like they are right now, getting 94 points is not going to get it done. And you're right, CCO 805. Boston's a lot better than a lot of people thought they were.
Well, I thought they were going to be pretty good. I didn't think I didn't think losing Horford would make that big of a deal because I thought the growth that Tatum and Brown would make would overcome that. And then I just thought they could win by committee. I thought Robert Williams would be a little better than what he has been. Man, if he ever decides to put it together, Boston would be really tough. But yeah, I was high on Boston this year. I just think that last year they just had too many things going on, too many distractions in the locker room, and too many guys that just had different agendas. So I'm not shocked at all. It's kind of like a situation where it's an addition by subtraction, and that's what we're seeing with Boston.
But with Toronto, it's kind of surprising to me because I'll say this, with this first game, because Toronto have been playing better than arguably anybody else in the bubble.
Well, I think they had the easiest competition, though.
Yeah, you could say that as well.
I do think that they had the easiest path. Ooh, that was a tongue twister in a sense. And but yeah, I mean, Gasol and Siakam were held to, I don't even think they had 20 points combined, which is less than what Siakam has been averaging in the postseason. So Boston's defense did well. But I think this series goes 7. I see this as a seesaw that just goes back and forth.
Because Nick Nurse is going to come up with something to counteract what happened in Game 1. Obviously, he was not very happy and pleased with his team's performance, but he seems to probably be right now one of the leading X and O guys that are coaches out there for the NBA, and I suspect something he'll throw out there will probably go ahead and have Boston trying to readjust themselves for Game 2.
Well, I think it would be easier if one guy went off. Like if Tatum had 30 or 40, then you adjust to that. I think it's a lot harder to adjust to a balanced offensive attack.
Yeah.
And that's what the Celtics had. So I'm interested to see what he comes up with. He's going to come up with something.
Yeah.
He's very good at adjusting. But yeah, I think I got Toronto winning Game 2.
I do as well, but again, Boston, you got to give them credit. They pulled off probably one of the best performances of the NBA playoffs today. And You're right, CC805, in agreeing with Rafael Barlowe that this game, or that the series between Boston and Toronto has 7 games written all over it. I couldn't agree with both of you more on that. That's just something that it looks like Denver and Utah. Denver and Utah look like from the very beginnings it was going to be 7, and that's ultimately what is the case. And it looks like right now, from what I'm seeing between these two teams, because they're so evenly matched, that 7 games is definitely looking like it's going to be on the horizon.
Yeah, just, hope both teams are healthy and we get a chance to just watch 2 teams fight it out with healthy rosters. Like, I just don't like seeing a team that's depleted having to go against a healthy team. I mean, I guess you can say the Clippers weren't 100% healthy without Beverly, but I think Porzingis is a bigger part of the Mavs' success than Patrick Beverly. And then even for my Blazers, I mean, they weren't healthy, and I would have loved to see a healthy Blazers team play against a healthy Lakers team, which didn't happen. And so hopefully Toronto and Boston can just, there's no injuries, no asterisks, no what if such and such, whatever. Just the best team wins.
Let's hope the best team wins indeed. We're signaling the ref for a quick timeout, but we'll be back with more of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. Hey Lakers fans, looking for the best place to go for up-to-date news, information, original videos, articles, podcasts, opinion pieces, and discussions about the Los Angeles Lakers? Well, look no further than Lakerholics.com. With a legion of followers always there talking about everything Lakers and the NBA, there's no better place to go to share your fandom as the team heads toward another championship run. So stop by and be part of the conversation today at Lakerholics.com. Once again, I'm talking to my good friend Rafael Barlowe from NBA Draft Junkies. Content Creators 805 has another great question before we head on out, my friend. Before you tell everybody what's going on with your awesome site, NBADraftJunkies.com and NBA Draft Junkies on YouTube, he's asking what's our thoughts on the Bucks Heat tomorrow. I think we said it before on our previous podcast, but I think I've got Miami stealing game 1. How about you?
Ooh, well, I know overall I have Miami in the upset, so I'm going to go with Miami in game 1 also.
There you go. We got it from right here. Let's hope that's not the kiss of death there for Miami. But I've got Miami in 6. I don't know why, but I'm feeling Miami in 6. What did you say you had it?
I think it goes 7.
Okay.
I think, I think both series go 7 games.
What do you think of that Boston-Toronto series before we head on out?
I would say I was leaning towards Toronto in 7. So I don't think I made it official with that pick, but I'll still go Toronto in 7. Is
it in pencil?
Yeah, it's in pencil.
Okay.
Because like I had Denver in 7, and then when they were down 3-1, I kind of mentally said, okay, Utah has this, and now I could end up being right in the first place.
There you go. I've got Toronto in 7 as well. He's got the Bucks in 6. Content Creators 805. And again, it could go either which way. I think whoever shoots the best from outside, because both, especially Milwaukee, they are designed to give up a lot of 3-pointers. If Miami is rocking on 3-pointers, or if Giannis Antetokounmpo is dishing it out and he's got some hot 3-pointers behind him, I think whoever has the best array of 3-point shooting will ultimately win the series.
Yeah, it's definitely going to come down to whoever makes the most threes, and then also how well Miami defends Giannis. I see them building a wall and making things a little bit tougher for him as far as just getting to the basket, especially in transition.
You think you can hold him to maybe 25? I'm not asking for 30.
No, I think he still gets his numbers just off of his activity. He's going to get a lot of free throws because he's always in attack mode. He does not stop attacking. So I think he's going to get you at least 10 points a game off of free throw attempts. And then, it's it's hard to stop him completely, but if you can just make him work and you can cut off his driving angles. But then if you're making shots, that's when Giannis is easier to defend because he gets a lot of his points off misses. Once he gets the rebound, you know he's going straight to the rim, and that's where he puts a lot of pressure on you. So with Miami's good shooters, especially if the Bucks are trying to give up corner threes for, I guess that's their defensive strategy. If Miami's knocking down shots, then you're limiting Giannis's effectiveness to turn rebounds into personal fast breaks.
There you go. That's that would be a key, obviously, for any team going against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks. Content Creators 805 has got Boston in 7 and Denver winning Game 7. This is the great thing about right now, Content Creators 805. Rafael, myself, Content, and what you're doing out there, Content Creators 805, it really is that close right now. It's razor thin between all those teams, and it could go one way or the other at this point in time. Now, there's no more easy victories. There's now no more clean sweeps. Everything looks like right now from here on out, as far as tough tests for each and every team, whether it's the Lakers and the Rockets, whether, who, it doesn't matter. It just seems like it's going to be a tough series for each and every NBA team going forward.
Yeah, it's something that we haven't had the last few years. Like, I feel maybe like the last 5 years, you could, in marker, right, Golden State is coming out the West. And other than last year, you felt like LeBron was coming out the East. So the second round, the matchups weren't as evenly matched as they are this year. I feel like if Houston moves on and let's say Utah or Denver moves on, I feel like for the most part, every team that's advanced to the second round can beat the favorites. Like, I don't think that the Lakers have a major advantage over Houston. I mean, it's going to be a contrast in styles. It's going to, curious to see which style wins out. But I don't think Milwaukee in a playoff setting, in a 7-game series, is going to be that much better than Miami. And like we said, Boston and Toronto could be a toss-up. So this is, like I said earlier in the podcast, this is going to be, so far it has been a great experience in the playoffs and in the bubble, and it's only going to get better in my opinion because the teams are somewhat evenly matched.
Absolutely, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the playoffs because there are going to be no more easy victories, I think. I mean, you'll see some blowouts here and there, but again, as far as series are concerned, you're not going to see no more Iverson sweeps. No more sweeps entirely, I don't think, from this point going forward. I think you're just going to see tough matchups, and I'm looking forward to it. I know Content Creators 805 is looking forward to it. I know you're looking forward to it. It's going to be an awesome ride, and we're going to keep updating you each and every day for the playoffs right here at the Lakers Fast Break. But before we head on out, my friend, I want to hear your thoughts on what you're up to. I know you've had a busy weekend. I know you've been doing a lot of stuff. I know you've been gearing a lot for the fans out there of NBA Draft Junkies. So I want to hear what you got in store for them at NBA Draft Junkies.
Yeah, just have both of my mock drafts up, 2.0. One video is the lottery. The other video is the second half, 15 through 30. I put that up yesterday, so it's probably been up a little bit, maybe just slightly over 24 hours from the time that we recorded this. The site is updated, so I just need to go back to doing different player profiles. And so I have a Devin Vassell video that I'm sitting on. I'll release it tomorrow. I know I've said that in the past, but I'll release that. Then I have another one that I'm not going to release the name yet, but it's a player that is a projected lottery pick in this draft, and I was able to get some exclusive footage of a workout, and I think that this footage could actually kind of help him and help his draft stock, because one of the weaknesses that I had, he's definitely put in the work and he's improved it. He's improved that area. And so right now I'm just kind of waiting on approval. Just out of respect, I sent it to his camp, his agency, and everybody that is involved in his draft process. And so I'm just kind of waiting on them to give me the okay to release it. And once I do that, I think the video will I think it'll pique some interest, simply because usually at this time you may see guys like ESPN or Draft Express have different videos of guys working out, but they haven't been able to have access. I guess because they're with ESPN and ESPN is probably, because of what's going on, not going to pay for guys to go to the gyms and put their guys at risk. So I think the draft coverage as far as like workout videos has been pretty limited this year. And so if I can, just get access to different players, I think it will be very beneficial for my site.
There you go, and I hope it will be, my friend, because I'm rooting for you, and I'll be checking it out. That is NBA Draft Junkies on YouTube, NBADraftJunkies.com, plus his great shows, Run the Floor, and, of course, NBA Draft Junkies, available wherever you get your podcasts. And for myself, wanted to let everybody know, on Lakerholics.com, not only do you hear Laker Tom's crazy rants, not only do you hear or you can read what Magic Man, Laker Tom, and Jamie Sweet are doing up there, but I did drop my mock draft 3.0 up there, along with a lot of Rafael Barlowe's videos from NBA Draft Junkies. And you can go ahead and check that out right there at Lakerholics.com, who I think is going to go where for now. But I'm looking forward to maybe even going into it even further on a mock draft 4.0 coming up in the near future. I'm still hoping Rafael will get on the suit one of these days and, go ahead and do another If I Was the GM type video. So I'm hoping for that, my friend.
Yeah, I definitely want to get back to doing that.
Because you said you have to have 30 of those.
At least 30 different combinations. That's the hard part. That's the hard part. There probably will be some duplicates because, I'm not going to wear a red suit for the Bulls or the Hawks. And I definitely don't have a purple and teal one for the Hornets, so they'll get the basic black and white. But yeah, I'll start that up again. I still have like 28 teams left to do before the draft, so I'm gonna try to get it done. But I did make a commitment to doing a second round mock draft on my website. So that's gonna be pretty time consuming. But I mean, this is the time of year where people are interested in a draft, and this is the time of year where I can really just kind of showcase all the work that I've been putting in since about September. So looking forward to it. And
this has been a great privilege of mine to go ahead and see firsthand all this great work that you're doing. It's just so awesome to see how much detail is in the process. And Content Creators 805 has some kind words for you on your work. He says, nice, Rafael. He says, awesome. Just your work is just speaks for itself. He complimented us on the show today. CC805, we just appreciate everything that you do as far as supporting this show. For us, right here at the Lakers Fast Break, again, I've already posted on the Lakerholics.com my mock draft, or at least my latest one. I also will be going ahead for the Pop Culture Cosmos side. That's going up to radio worldwide and also as well podcast outlets everywhere. Our tribute, both myself and my co-host Josh Peterson on Chadwick Boseman, plus also as well a review of Bill and Ted's Face the Music, Class Action Park on HBO Max, and so much more. So you want to check that out Monday when it hits radio and podcast outlets everywhere. Of course, Lakers Fast Break, we're continuing this between myself and Rafael. Each and every day there's the playoffs, so we hope that will continue. But again, as always, keep in mind what the folks out there in the NBA are fighting for. They're fighting for social justice. They're fighting for equality in our country and systemic racism to fight against that. So before we head on out, just want to make sure everybody knows that, again, each and every day we got to go ahead and see what we can do to get this thing done and try and build a better country of ours that's more equal and more loving to each other. But my friend, it's been a great episode. Just want to thank you again for joining me. We've got games tomorrow on the slate, don't we, my friend?
Yeah, Milwaukee and Miami, and then possibly the closeout game between Houston and Oklahoma City.
Ooh, so the plot thickens there. Yeah, ooh. So we can really start with the Rockets win with the preview of the Lakers and the Rockets, if that's the case. So I'm looking forward to that. And then seeing if Content Creators 805 or we are going to be right as far as who gets the nice jump for this series between Milwaukee and Miami. So I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts tomorrow on both those games.
Yeah, thank you, Content Creators 805, for just for your contribution to the show. I really appreciate that.
Absolutely. And if you ever want to come on live, let us know. You ever want to join us, all you got to do is hit me up at Lakers Fast Break. He's at Barlowe 500, at NBA Draft Junkies on Twitter. We're just all right there. Or hit me up on a Lakers Fast Break social media. I'm all over the place. And of course, we just truly appreciate any time you watch or everyone out there listens to us right here at the Lakers Fast Break Podcast.